My daughter-in-law handed me a stack of dirty dishes when her colleagues arrived for dinner. I paid off that house in full 11 years ago, kept quiet about it for the sake of family peace, and stood at my own kitchen sink in a borrowed apron while my son poured wine for people I had never met. And I want you to know, that was actually the easy part of my evening. My name is Gary Whitfield. For 31 years, I ran construction crews all over Jefferson County, Kentucky, before I retired last spring. Walk up to me on a Tuesday morning in my driveway with a coffee mug that says World's Okayest Grandpa, and you would not guess I once managed a 42-man crew pouring foundations for half of downtown Louisville. That is exactly how I like it. My wife, Sandra, and I have been married 38 years. We raised one son, Ryan, in a house on Bardstown Road that I paid off in 2015, 4 years before Ryan married Ashley Coltrane, a loan processor and licensed notary public at Ohio Valley Federal Credit Union. When Ryan and Ashley needed a bigger place for their growing family, Sandra and I did what parents do. We helped. That help became the center of everything that happened next. Sandra is sharp as a tack and has never once let me get away with anything in 38 years of marriage. She's the kind of woman who remembers everyone's birthday, corrects my grammar mid-sentence, and still makes me laugh so hard I have to sit down. My best friend of 26 years, Lonnie Trask, ran a plumbing supply business 2 towns over until he sold it and semi-retired. Lonnie answers his phone on the first ring every single time, day or night. That matters more than you'd think. I'm 63 years old. Sandra and I married when I was 25, which put Ryan's birth 4 years later, making him 34 now. Ashley is 32. All of it lines up the way real families line up. Nothing forced, nothing convenient, just people who grew older together. The house in question sits on Persimmon Lane, a 3-bedroom brick colonial I bought outright in 2019 as a gift toward Ryan and Ashley's growing family, with the title still legally in my name for tax reasons my accountant insisted on. Ryan knew this. Ashley, as far as I understood at the time, did not. The warning sign started small, the way these things always do. Ashley began referring to the house as my house at neighborhood barbecues. She repainted the guest bathroom without asking. A small thing, sure, but it was my guest bathroom. Then in March, she started hosting monthly dinners for her coworkers at the credit union branch where she worked. Colleagues she would try to impress ahead of a senior processor position that had just opened up. Each time, Sandra and I got invited as an afterthought. Seated at the end of the table, never quite part of the conversation. I noticed. I did not act. You do not blow up a family dinner over seating arrangements. A man learns patience in this line of work, watching concrete cure for days before you can build on it. Then came June 14th. Ashley called that Tuesday morning and asked if Sandra and I could come over that Saturday evening for what she called a casual thing with 4 coworkers from the branch. She said it twice, casual thing, like she was rehearsing the words. We said, of course. We arrived at 6 o'clock. Ashley's colleagues, 3 women and 1 man, were already in the living room with wine glasses in hand. Ryan was behind the kitchen island, uncorking a second bottle of Pinot Noir, laughing at something one of them said. Ashley met us at the door in a black dress, air-kissed Sandra's cheek, and looked at me. Ashley, Gary, the sink is a disaster from prepping all afternoon, and I really need everything spotless before we sit down. Be a dear and get these done, would you? She handed me a stack of dishes, mixing bowls crusted with something orange, a roasting pan, for wine glasses already used from earlier prep tasting, she said. I looked at Ryan. Ryan kept pouring. I want to be honest with you here. My hands went still for a second, not from anger exactly, from something quieter. I looked at that stack of dishes, and I looked at my son, 34 years old, standing 8 feet away, saying absolutely nothing while his wife handed his father a chore in front of strangers. I looked at Sandra. Sandra's jaw had gone tight the way it does right before she says something she will not take back. I did the dishes, every single one, dried them with a towel hanging on the oven handle, and put them away in cabinets I had personally installed 6 years earlier. Then I walked into the dining room, sat down at my own kitchen table, and while Ashley's colleagues laughed about something in the next room over charcuterie, I took out my phone and called my lawyer, Denise Marchetti, right there at the table. Denise picked up on the second ring, the way she always does, and asked if everything was all right. Gary, I'm tired of being treated like staff in a house I paid for. I want to know exactly where things stand on paper. I had never actually pulled the current deed and tax record myself. I'd always left that to my accountant. Denise said she would request a full title history from the county clerk's office that week. The following Wednesday, Denise called with something neither of us expected. The title history was clean. My name only, no liens, no transfers. But in requesting it, the clerk's office had flagged something adjacent. A home equity line of credit application filed against the Persimmon Lane property back in February at Ohio Valley Federal Credit Union, the same branch where Ashley worked, for $58,000. Denise pulled the application itself through a records request. My name was on it. My signature was on it. And the notary stamp certifying that signature belonged to Ashley Coltrane, Notary Commission number 774192, active through the state of Kentucky. I sat with that for a long time. I had been in Nashville the entire second week of February, visiting my sister during her hip surgery recovery, hotel receipts, and a rental car agreement in a folder in my office to prove it. I never signed anything. I never saw that application. My own daughter-in-law had notarized a signature she watched me never make, using the professional credential the credit union trusted her with. I called Lonnie that night. Gary, Lonnie. Ashley notarized a forged signature of mine on a loan application, used her own notary stamp to do it. He was quiet for a second. Lonnie, that's not a family squabble anymore. Gary, that's her job. That's her license. That's federal money sitting behind a credit union. I told him I was scared of what this would do to Ryan. Lonnie, Ryan's a grown man who watched his wife hand his father a stack of dishes and said nothing. Protect yourself first. Ryan will figure out where he stands. Denise laid out the plan over the next 2 weeks. The loan itself had never been funded. The underwriting department had frozen it in April over an unrelated income verification issue. Pure luck, nothing more. So no debt had actually attached to the house. But notarizing a signature you know to be false is not something Denise or I could simply decide to overlook, because federal credit unions are required to report suspected internal fraud to the National Credit Union Administration, regardless of what the family wanted to do quietly. Denise explained that under Kentucky law, notarizing a document with knowledge that a signature is false, combined with the underlying forged loan application, exposed Ashley to forgery in the second degree, a Class D felony under KRS 516.030, carrying 1 to 5 years, separate entirely for what the credit union or the state notary commission board would do with her license. Denise also drafted paperwork requiring Ryan and Ashley to either purchase a Persimmon Lane house for me at fair market value or vacate within 90 days, since I no longer trusted an informal arrangement. On July 19th, I asked Ryan and Ashley to come to the house on Persimmon Lane alone. No colleagues this time. Ashley arrived first, already talking before she sat down. Ashley, Gary, if this is about Saturday, I'm sorry if I came across as short. It was just a stressful night. We were trying to impress people from the branch. Gary, this isn't about Saturday. She looked at Ryan, then back at me. Ashley, then what is it? I slid the printed loan application across the table, her own notary seal stamped at the bottom. Gary, February. I was in Nashville. You watered my ferns while I was gone. Remember? Ashley's face did not change right away. Ashley, the application must have gone through automated processing. Sometimes systems auto-populate old client signatures from prior file scans. It happens more than people think. Denise, sitting beside me, said that explanation does not account for a live notary stamp and a notarial journal entry, both of which require the notary to physically witness a signature, and both of which are logged under Ashley's commission number, with her handwritten initials beside the entry. Ashley, maybe Ryan filled it out and I just processed what came across my desk without looking closely. I process 40 files a week. I can't scrutinize everyone. Ryan finally spoke. Ryan, Ashley, I never touched that application. I didn't even know about it until Gary called me last week. Ashley's hands went flat on the table. Ashley, I was trying to cover the shortfall from the kitchen renovation. I was going to pay it back before anyone reviewed the file. I never thought it would sit there long enough for anyone to notice. Nobody said anything for a long moment. Denise let the silence sit exactly as long as it needed to. Here's how it ended. The credit union's compliance department, once notified, was obligated to file a formal fraud report regardless of my wishes, and Ashley was terminated from Ohio Valley Federal Credit Union that August. The Kentucky Secretary of State's Notary Division opened a separate review and revoked her notary commission in October, a permanent mark on her record in that profession. On the criminal side, the county attorney's office, after reviewing Denise's referral, offered Ashley a pretrial diversion agreement rather than pursuing the Class D felony to trial, given that no funds had actually been disbursed and Ashley had no prior record. She avoided a felony conviction by completing 18 months of supervision, restitution of $1,400 in processing and legal fees, and maintaining a clean record during that period. Ryan and Ashley signed an agreement to purchase the Persimmon Lane house for me over 5 years, at fair market value assessed at $287,000, with monthly payments starting that September. Ryan and Ashley went to counseling for 8 months. They are still married as of this recording. Ashley found work 11 months later at a smaller credit union, in an administrative role that does not require a notary commission. My finances were never actually harmed, since the loan never funded, but Denise's fees ran $3,400, which I paid without a second thought. Sandra and I still see Ryan every Sunday. Ashley comes sometimes now, too, and last month, she washed the dishes herself before I could even reach for them. 6 weeks after everything settled, Sandra and I sat on our back porch on a Thursday evening in August, the cicadas going full volume the way they do in Kentucky summers. Sandra handed me a glass of sweet tea. Sandra, Gary Whitfield, you did the dishes at your own dinner party and then called a lawyer from the dining room table. That might be the most you thing you've ever done. Gary, I'm efficient. Sandra, you're something else entirely. And don't you ever forget it. Lonnie called that same evening, the way he does most Thursdays, just to talk about nothing in particular. He asked how I was holding up. Gary, honestly, lighter than I've felt in months. He laughed. A real one. Lonnie, good. Now can we finally go fishing like we've been talking about since March? Gary, yes. Sandra rolled her eyes and told us both to bring back something worth cooking this time.